Hi there, I'm Construction Gamer, and this is a timetabling tutorial for Transport Fever 2. This feature has been made available by a brand new mod by Celmi, which allows you to do, as I've just described, a timetable for your services. I think it works for road vehicles as well as rail vehicles, but I'm just going to concentrate primarily on rail services today and just go over the basics of this new function that is potential to be a game changer. First of all, we want to go to the actual timetable. So if you've got the mod subscribed to, you will have a new little UI down here, new button to click on which says timetable, funnily enough. So you left click on that and this will bring up this new function here. It might not actually look like that, it might just look like that with nothing. Don't worry, you just need to click on lines. You can also click on stations, but I'm just going to be focusing on lines today. So this new feature with your scheduling, and it does unbunching as well. The actual schedule which we're going to talk about works off a 60-minute cycle. You'll notice down here there is a clock which is currently counting up from 27, 55, etc. That counts all the way to 60, then resets back to 0, 100, and then basically the clock resets. So as you just saw there, that clock does speed up and slow down as you speed up and slow down and pause the time. The clock will pause, but the main thing to note is it works off that 60-minute cycle, and that's how we work out our schedule for our trains. But before we get onto the schedules, I just want to show you another bit of a quick feature that also comes with this. So you'll get your first screen will look like this, and it will say no timetable. First thing you might want to try is the unbunching, and basically what this does is it does what it says on the tin. Basically it tries to unbunch your trains. So if I load up both of my express trains here that I've got on this particular line, can I have them both please? Like that, good. And then we go back to, scroll out a bit, that's a bit loud, go back to our timetable, and what this will do is the train that heads into the station and comes out again will kind of set the clock. So the train that comes in after that one will wait 6 minutes after the preceding train has left the station. So in that way it will unbunch the services. So basically if this train is on its way to Ride now, if this goes into Ride and then exits, and then this one here comes in soon after it, it will wait 6 minutes until past the time at which this one left. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is just a better way of unbunching the trains than the existing vanilla way that you might have used in the past. So not something I'd recommend, but you could sometimes use load if available, and basically load any, and what this would do was wait for a full load of passengers before it would set off, and then what you'd do previous to this would set your maximum waiting time at 1 minute, which seems fair enough. You'd think that if the train doesn't get full of passengers, it will wait after 1 minute, but that's not actually what happens in practice. What happens is if a passenger gets on board, the clock will start 1 minute, and then let's say another passenger gets on board, the clock will restart, and then it'll wait another minute, and then another passenger, and so on and so forth. And then you can basically end up with your train never leaving the platform or waiting many minutes until the train has left the platform. So it's never really worked for unbunching passenger services. That's why that kind of restarting the clock, that's why that system has never really worked for kind of passenger services. It might work for freight, it works pretty well for freight, but not for passenger services, which sometimes don't go out full, but you don't want your train waiting forever at the station for it to become full. So this is where this system comes into play, which is just a lot more advanced, and it doesn't rely on passengers boarding the train. So I think, as far as I can work out, it will wait at the station for 6 minutes, but it won't kind of reset the clock if another passenger joins the train. Passengers can join the train right up until that 6 minute ends, and then the train will leave the station. So that's that. You can set any time you want here. What I've done for this one is I've gone to this, so we've got 2 trains on it already, and the game, well, it's saying 7 minutes now, but it was saying that it had a 6 minute frequency, 6 minute 56 second frequency it's saying on this. So what I've done is I've gone off that number that the game has given me for the frequency, and I've selected a 6 minute frequency. Frequency stated here might differ from the one stated on this display. Celmi did say that he has taken this time from the game frequency, but I think due to rounding that this sometimes may differ. You'll see it says 7 minutes here where this says 6 minutes. So just these should be roughly close, but they might differ a little bit because of rounding basically. So that's basically what I've set mine off. So you could go off this frequency here, 6 minutes, and set that to 6. So you will see here, this train here has stopped at Andover. That's because this train had left just a bit before 6 minutes. So we'll wait till that 6 minutes is up, and then he will leave Andover station. And I've got it on both ends, I appear to have. Yeah, I've got it on both ends. So they're both waiting, and basically you'll see they should leave the train station or the railway station almost at the same time. Not precisely, it doesn't always work precisely, but they should have a good kind of gap in between them. And basically this is a simple network that I'm using, so there's a station at either end. So basically there's just the train services going from one end to the other, and he should leave any minute, hopefully, and it should give us a reasonably good unbunched service. So you see now this train here is leaving the railway station only a couple of seconds after this one has left, which is a better service than you probably normally would get with vanilla. Get them all close together, particularly because I have multiple services using the same track as well, so trains get held up, get slowed down, etc, etc, and quickly you'll just end up with bunched services all over the place. So that's one way to quickly and simply unbunch your railway services, but there is a more advanced way in which we can unbunch our services, and that is by having an actual schedule, which can be achieved by going on this arrival departure section here. So there's a drop down with arrival departure. Just going to reopen that because I thought, there we go, I do have my schedule already assigned here. I think, well, no, I will just go to, what shall I go to? Pax Andover. I'll go back to that, and I'll just quickly go to arrival departure, and I've got one on there. We'll delete all those because I just want to show you from the beginning basically. So you will click on arrival departure, and then you will have to add your slots, remembering that we're running on a 60-minute cycle, so you will have to have the correct number of slots for your, basically, say if you want a 10-minute frequency, you're going to need 10 slots, aren't you, to keep it nice and simple. So let's get rid of all that, put that back on to unbunch and keep that at 6 minutes. Then we'll go back to my schedule, which I've already created for this. This is a commuter service, this is a more frequent service, and I want this frequency to be every 5 minutes. Now the frequency here says 4 minutes, so it's close enough. So basically what we want is our trains to leave at every 5 minute interval. So we've got a departure of 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, so on and so forth until we go back to 0. I did try and set this as 60, but obviously it doesn't, it just goes to 59, so we put 0 on that because the first departure of the day, let's say, is 5 minutes, and then this obviously goes back down to 0. So what you should see, I've got a train coming into Andover now. He will wait. What departure have we got? So he's a bit early for the 35-minute departure, so he's hopefully, if I've got this right, should wait for the 40-minute departure. Just wait and see what happens with this one. Yep, so you'll see there it says stopped. So this train, I haven't stopped it. The timetable service has stopped the train there, and it's not going to be let go until this reaches 40 minutes, because basically the next departure is 40 minutes like it says here. So if we speed the game up a little bit, we can see that in a couple of seconds this train will be let go. Well, in, however many seconds it is on this, I'm not sure what the time compression is on this. So we'll come up to the 40-minute mark. Hopefully soon this train should be let go from that station, should be released, which it is going to be now, and you can see he's setting off at the 40-minute slot. Now for the arrivals, you need to put these in because that tells the train which slot it kind of basically belongs to. I don't think it matters too much what time the arrival is, as long as it's after the preceding slot and before the next slot. So if we go to the 10-minute departure, basically this slot here, the arrival departure, this time needs to be after the previous departure but before the next departure. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know how much difference actually tweaking the arrivals makes to the arrivals and departures, but yeah, just make sure it's after that one. So we've got a 5-minute departure there, and then a 7-minute arrival. That doesn't mean the train will arrive at 7 minutes. It just means that's the next window for the next departure, if that makes sense. So if a train arrives around the 7-minute mark, he won't get released until the 10-minute departure there, and then we just add all of the departures that we want for basically the frequency that you want. So if you want a more frequent service, obviously you've got to add more slots by hitting the add button there, left clicking on that. With the actual schedules, I would only have one train station with this schedule here. You'll see here we've got Andover and Ryde. Unfortunately, I've only got 2 stations on this particular service, but it will show you in this basic window all of the stops, all of the stations that this service will call at. But I would only have a schedule at the terminus. I wouldn't, maybe not even both, I'd just have it at one terminus just to give you that schedule. But what I would do after talking with Celmi is, if you've got a lot of station calls here, maybe every other station you might decide, let's say for example Ryde, I know it's not it's the next station along, but you just go for an unbunch, so you do 5-minute unbunching there, and in that way it would just help to maintain the schedule as the train makes its way across the network. And if you've got a big network like I have with the UK Northern Powerhouse, trains will get held up by other services, get held up by signals and junctions and whatnot, and they will slowly but surely get bunched up. So every other station, or every third station perhaps, I would just put an unbunching rather than go into the effort of doing the schedule, because you only really need the schedule at the terminus to kind of be the start of your services basically, and that should really give your trains a good nice head start to be able to be unbunched. You'll see here now he has stopped because I've put that unbunching time of 5 minutes, and basically what that tells me is he has arrived less than 5 minutes before a train had left the Ryde station. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, he's just got to wait there and then he's been released. But because we only have 2 stations on this, I'm not bothering with an unbunching at this particular time, so I'll just have no timetable. All the timings of the trains will be done at Andover. So you can see here what could happen. You could, if you've got a busy station, a busy terminus with lots of train services, there is the potential for real backlogs and bottlenecks. So you do need to be careful when you're doing this, that the first kind of thing you'd want to do is maybe have every service at a individual platform, which basically helps spread things out a little bit. You're still going to get a little bit of a bottleneck at the road to the station, at the approach to the station, but if they've each got their own platform, it should be a little bit less of a problem. But if you have a big terminus with lots of services and you do need to share platforms, then obviously you are going to have to arrange the departures to match. So let's say this service, this Andover Ryde service, has got a departure of every 5 minutes, but we need another service to share that platform. Maybe the express needs to share that platform for whatever reason. We might want to do for this one like 8, 13, 18, 23 service, for example, just a couple of minutes after the last departure. So it's just basically like scheduling real trains, isn't it? You know, you just want to have them, you want the biggest space between each of the trains sharing a platform that you can possibly have, but it is mostly ideal to have your trains services on individual platforms if possible, with just basically a bit of unbunching at every other or every third station, just to really help maintain that frequency, that timetable across the network, because yeah, trains will undoubtedly get bunched up as they travel across your network. Now you need to click these boxes, so if you've selected a schedule, this was a new feature that stumped me for a couple of minutes, but if you've done your schedule and it's not working, you just need to make sure you've ticked these 2 boxes here. As the same for unbunching as well, if you've selected unbunching, you will need to tick this box here to tell this line that it has an unbunching or a timetable associated with it. So this is, you know, it's a really powerful tool for those big networks where you've got lots of services and you've got a lot of bunching going on. Now this train here is kind of waiting because this is saying we've got a 4-minute frequency and I've stipulated a 5-minute frequency, so there is a little bit of a lag in that, but for the whole, this service seems to run quite well with this schedule that I've got set up here. And equally, with just having unbunching at either end of the line, it seems to work really well as long as it's matched up with the frequency stated either here or here. So you just need to make sure you've matched your sort of frequencies up to your actual schedule. So if you want a more frequent service, obviously you're going to have to add more trains and then adjust that timetable or that unbunching as it updates frequency basically. So I hope I've explained that well. If not, if you've got any questions, then do put them in the comments below and I'll take any comments from Celmi as well, just in case I've missed any bits out or not explained them. fully, but I hope I've explained that well, and I hope you do use the mod, because especially for people who've got big networks with lots of trains, I think this is a real powerful tool, a real game changer. I think this is one of those occasions when we can actually say game changer. So yeah, thanks to Celmi for creating this mod. So I'm going to leave it there for today and say until next time, bye bye.